Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And now we see them, and today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys that we want you guys to stick around for. It's a little bit different, but we want you guys to stick around for this one, and please make sure you like the show and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into this topic here. Now, this morning, funny enough, we put up a poll on our channel, right, where we asked some of our viewers if they would like to see, we asked them, would they like to see us produce some more business videos, occasionally. And of the 1,000 people that voted in about 2 hours, 68% of them said yes. Now, let me tell you why exactly we actually put up that poll on the channel. While doing some research this morning, I came across an article from the sportsrush.com, and it was centered on Magic Johnson, who I personally believe is the best businessman NBA player ever, right? I've seen his story on Bloomberg Game Changers. I've listened to him talk about his story, how he got into business, and I think he's the best. Why? Because of the moves he was able to make, given the fact of the different industries that he had the balls to go into. He went into things that were not related to basketball whatsoever. He didn't kind of take the easy way into business. He went into completely new fields like real estate and, you know, all of those different things. And also for the fact that Magic Johnson, I believe when he was an NBA player, he earned about $20 or $25 million for his entire playing career. And now he's worth north of $600 million. So for someone who earned $25 million and to turn that into $600 million, that's pretty incredible, right? And that's why if you have certain guys today, they may earn $3 million, $300 million, $400 million. They should be able to turn that into at least double or triple that, 800, you know, to $1 billion plus, right? If they know what they're doing. But to me, I think Magic Johnson is the best. And they got an article here that I want to get into. To me, I think it's pretty interesting. And just to give some of our viewers a different taste, like not constantly sports, where sometimes we could talk about other things. So the article basically starts off with the headline saying, "I could have been making over $5 billion right now. Magic Johnson explains horrible dealing with Nike he regrets to this day." The article continues on. Magic Johnson has made an awful lot of money over the course of his life, whether it may be during his time in the NBA or his life after retirement. After all, how could someone who have a gargantuan net worth of $620 million? But of course, when you're a man with so many business deals with so many different entities, there are bound to be some you regret taking, and some that you regret not doing so. And for Magic, that came along just before the businessman phase of him took over. This is a story of how he fumbled a massive bag with Nike. Nike owner Phil Knight offered Magic Johnson stock in the company instead of money as part of the deal. Perhaps the term fumble the bag is a bit too harsh for this one. After all, who could have known Nike would be the entity it is today? During Magic Johnson's time in the league, Nike was just barely a competitor with Phil Knight, had just about started the company at the time. So because of the situation, Knight couldn't offer the player the money other companies could. So he did him one better. He offered him stock in the company. But of course, Magic went elsewhere, taking a now famous deal with Converse. He may have been happy at the time, but speaking on it recently, here is what he had to say on the matter as per BossHunting.com. "When I first came out of college, all the shoe companies came after me. And this guy, Phil Knight, who had just started Nike, all of the other companies offered me money, but they couldn't offer me money because they just started. So he said, stock. I'm going to give you a lot of stock. I didn't know anything about stock. I'm from the inner city. We don't know about stocks. Boy, did I make a mistake. I'm still kicking myself. Every time I'm in a Nike store, I get mad. I could have been making money off everybody buying Nikes right now. Experts estimate that Magic Johnson's deal with Nike could have come up to be $5.3 billion today." The reason we thought that this show would be important today is because of the moral of it, like the moral of the story. While I was reading it, it came to me. To me, I think the moral of this story is this: money isn't necessarily power. Education on what to do with your money is more valuable than the money itself. Hence the reason we have hedge funds, right? Hedge funds are essentially a bunch of people who know how to invest money of other people that don't really know how to invest their money. They know how to make money, but they don't necessarily know how to invest it. So what's the lesson there? He said that at the time he didn't know anything about stocks because he's from the inner city. Now, I don't want to go with that line of thinking, because I think there are a lot of people in the inner city and outside of the inner city, inner cities, that know what stocks are. So I don't want to put it on that. I just want to say that maybe he didn't know because at the time he didn't have the interest in stocks. If you go look at Magic Johnson's story on Bloomberg's Game Changer, I saw the whole thing. He said he grew up, with a father that was, hardworking, very stern, all of these different things. I think he had a cleaning company, if I'm not mistaken, and he used to work for him. And he used to go into these, he used to clean a specific office, I believe, of a businessman. And he said, one day I would like to have an office like this. Something, if I'm remembering the story correctly. Anyway, what I was able to understand about Magic Johnson when he was young was simply this. He wanted to be a businessman one day. Listen to this. But in the early years of his development, as he was developing, he never said he wanted to be a specific thing. He just wanted to be a businessman. But ultimately, he ended up becoming an NBA player. And while he was playing, he now started to realize that he wanted to pursue business. And he started to seek out the guidance of people that were more experienced than he was to really get into the field and learn. And one of the gentlemen that I think he was looking to tutor him, basically, or mentor him, basically said that if you want to be a businessman, you can't be reading the sports section of the newspaper every day. You got to start with the business section. I remember seeing this. Now, so I'm not going to hold it against him that, oh, it's because it was in the inner city. It's just that I believe he wasn't at that stage of his life to know that much about it, because at that point, his focus is basketball. How could you be focused on going to the NBA and then be focused on being a businessman, understanding how pivotal the formative years of your life are in order for you to actually have a chance to make it into the NBA? So I'm not going to hold that part against him. To me, I think that the moral is, it's not just about the money you have. It's about the education you have about the money and how you invest it. Recently, we heard a story from, not a story, a quick post that basically said Kanye West was behind, according to the landlord, was saying that he was behind on some of his payments for the rent for the office that he was using, or the office space that he's using, right? And I said to myself, I'm like, how can someone that's worth whatever at the time he was, a billionaire, whatever it is, how could he have found himself in a situation where, he's now missing his rent payments and all of these different things? Why didn't he take the opportunity to just buy the building that he's operating his business out of? Now, some people will say, but that's dumb. And I'll say, no, it's not dumb. Why? Some people will say, well, it's cheaper to rent. Yeah, I'm like, but now you're paying the price of not owning. When you own the building, you now have acquired an asset within an asset. Your business is making you the money, right? Your business is making you the money, but the brick and mortar aspect of it by owning the building is also part of your balance sheet. So if you stop making money, or the business goes down, or whatever it is, you're not cash flowing anymore, at least you have that asset in place that you at least own the building. And now you no longer have the income coming in, and you now still owe the rent on that building that you don't have the income coming in for. You find yourself in a situation like that. So when you had the cash, you could have just gobbled up that asset right there. Now you have two assets. You have a business that makes you money, and the building that it operates out of, you also own that as well. That was the point that I was making. So to me, the moral of the story in this is simply, education is very important. Education is very important when we're talking about money. And I think that's a lesson that I learned from reading this article and hearing about this story. And also understand, you can't have, this is just my opinion here. I'm not a financial whatsoever. I'm a student just like the rest of you. I'm sure some people watching this show are way more successful than me when it comes to business. So I'm not talking to you guys. I'm just giving you my opinion from where I am at this particular point in life. For me, I just think that education is very important, and understanding that you cannot understand everything. That's another mistake I think people try to make. People want to have their hand in every single pie. Certain things take a tremendous amount of, studying, and you got to really go into it. Those people that go into stocks, that invest in their money, some people that know what the hell they're doing, it takes a lot of time and knowledge and, information and experience. You got to really learn that stuff. So to me, that's the moral of the story. The question of the audience is simply this. What do you think? What is your takeaway from this story? And if you were going to go, if you had a sum of money, or if you're working towards earning amount of money or having a certain amount of money put away, what would you look to invest in? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.